What's up guys, Houndish here, and as always, we are back with more Destiny 2 news. And so welcome to the channel, or indeed, welcome back. And we do have some pretty cool stuff to touch on. Firstly, we've got an update on the Felwinter's Lie quest, and yes, it is being fixed, so we have all of the details on how and when that's going to happen. We'll touch on that, but also Bungie asked for topics to discuss regarding future updates, frustrations with the game, and also they prep us a little bit for some content that they're going to touch on this week. But in addition, we have other stuff to round up, including the Bungie confirm Heir Apparent's return. We've got the new title to touch on, new location glitches, various updates from Bungie, patch changes, season changes, and more to round up, including a little bit of backstory about Rasputin, the test version of Rasputin developed by Clovis Bray, and some pretty cool stuff that we're going to learn more about in that upcoming secret mission. So guys, as always, I hope you enjoy the video, and if you do, then a rating down below really does help to keep us moving. But now, let's get into it. So, of course, the big one that a lot of folks will want to know about is the update for the Lie quest, and so Bungie Help said, tomorrow, May 20th, at 10 AM PDT, D2 will undergo background maintenance, but this is going to prepare for hotfix 2.8.1.3, releasing on May 21st, that will resolve the Lie quest issue with the opening Warmind door. And so, that quest is going to be fixed tomorrow, on Thursday according to Bungie. And so if you have been waiting to get that quest done, I'll keep you posted tomorrow on when the hotfix actually drops. But also if you needed any catch-up time, definitely I think it's worth getting those 1,000 shotgun kills and the other steps done, so that we can jump into the final step once it becomes available tomorrow. Definitely not the worst response time there from Bungie. Of course, it would have been nice to have it fixed almost immediately or at reset, but at least the positive that we can take away is that we don't have to wait another 2 weeks for it or something like that. And DMG did say, I think I can speak for almost anyone at Bungie when I say that it hurts to see stuff like this ship. We absolutely want to build amazing experiences from beginning to end, but things just don't fly the right way sometimes. But on the subject of bugs, he does say, we're working on improvements internally. We definitely see the bugs shipping and how they're impacting the experience. And as far as I know, that's one of the first times that a Bungie community manager has broadly recognized that yes, we are seeing a lot of bugs with launch content at the moment. And so Bungie are saying in the general sense they are working to try and reduce the amount of times that that's happening. So that's a positive, but nonetheless, get yourselves ready to finally finish that Lie quest tomorrow and give us your thoughts about it down below. On the subject of further conversation about the future of Destiny this week, Cosmo said, we've touched on a lot of important topics in the last few TWABs, including Eververse, max power levels, and cheating. What else would you like to see us talk more about? And of course he's referring to the This Week at Bungie updates, where over the past couple of weeks they've been touching on major points of feedback from players. And we should say that DMG sort of clarified that this week they're going to have more conversation about some activities, potential future activities, but also existing activities like Gambit, Iron Banner, Crucible, and how their loot is going to change. And we know there will be some new rituals and quests and things like that Bungie are introducing. But in terms of new major subjects that Bungie could touch on, there are a lot of questions popping up in the community, mod slots on exotics, also considering we're seeing weapon sunsetting. Folks are talking about currency like Ascendant Shards and Prisms, and if our gear becomes redundant, should Bungie be giving us more ways to earn those materials? Of course, there are plenty of technical or economy-based questions. For me, I would really love to see fundamental improvements to pinnacle gear like raid loot and trials stuff. Bungie have outlined a few changes, but I'd love to get more info on how loot identity could be improved, especially since Bungie kind of hinted at this being a part of pinnacle improvement for gear overall. So what do you guys think, man? Be sure to let us know in the comment section the things that you'd love to see Bungie touch on over the next few weeks. Now though, to get onto some quick fire bits of news, somebody said, now that Guardian games are over, will the Heir Apparent be available in exotic engrams? And Destiny the Game on Twitter said it will be available again in future, and will share more details at a later date. So Heir Apparent is not completely gone forever, but obviously it's going to be the case that it'll take a little bit of time before it's added back into loot tables, maybe in the exotic engram. And it would appear that this will be the same case for some of the other seasonal exotics we get through the course of the year as well. And so if you did miss out on the Heir Apparent, then bear that one in mind, and it probably will be a free exotic drop since the quest was available for all players. On the subject of sunsetting pieces of gear, players were asking, will this ever apply to exotics? And Cosmo said, we currently have no plans to add max power levels to exotics. And so that's a positive. But also Andrew Hops from Bungie said something that other developers haven't said so bluntly, at least. But essentially it refers to Recluse and how powerful it is in PvE. And he says that weapon sunsetting means we could add more weapons that do essentially that, and could almost afford to be a bit more powerful or borderline broken, because they will just eventually fall behind in power. And so from a development point of interview is saying that it's pretty excited to be able to work on sandbox elements like weapons without having to be aware of their kind of constant power creep or potentially nerfing them down the road, right? And I guess that totally applies to PvE content, of course a bit different in PvP, especially where there are no power requirements. So yeah, we hadn't heard it said quite like that previously. And so once again, give us any thoughts you have on sunsetting down below. But on the subject of this week's reset, of course we now have the Ordeal Grandmaster playlist where you can select any of the Grandmaster ordeals. And that does mean that the title is acquirable too. But since we are right at the tail end of the season, Cosmo does point out that the Grandmaster title will still be available again next season, similar to the Flawless title. And so with the Grandmaster one specifically, they're most likely just going to change the featured Grandmaster strikes. And then you simply have to get all of the featured strikes completed within one particular season. So that could be this season in the next few weeks before it ends, or it could be next season with presumably a new set of strikes. A quick shout right here that I thought was pretty cool, but in the Vostok mission as part of the light quest, you may have seen that a lot of the out of bounds areas that you normally can't get into on the PvP version of the map are actually able to be glitched into, so you can kind of hop over the bridge right here, sword fly over, and find yourself in the courtyard of the Iron Temple. And you'll also have seen various videos of folks climbing up to the top of Felwinter Peak. My buddy Jarv has a video showing that, which I'll link down below. Definitely something cool to have a look at, but you can also go out of map the other way, back towards the very starting area from the Rise of Iron mission, with the gondolas and stuff like that. You can actually head down to where you get on the gondola, and then go all the way up to the top of the mountain, so bit of a throwback right there, which is really cool. And also, considering all of this is solid, and visually how the Iron Temple area looks, I always kind of wondered whether Iron Temple and some of that Rise of Iron content was potentially stuff that Bungie were working on for D2 at the time that got brought back to be used as D1 content, because they only ever produced Rise of Iron, I believe, in around 9 months. And that would have been pretty close to when they were working on major bits of D2, so I'm speculating a lot, but either way, it's very cool to be able to explore more of the Iron Temple in D2. Of course, looking to the future though, as Rasputin has for a few weeks, he does give us another teaser this week showing even more pyramid ships getting even closer to our system, and it looks like in a couple of weeks' time, they are potentially going to reach Titan. And of course, that was part of the conversation about Season 11, and how the pyramid ships are going to play into that. Could we potentially see content taking place on the outer edges of the system, which could be a build-up to the arrival of the pyramid ships much closer to home? It definitely seems like a possibility. Of course, there's been a lot of conversation about Europa. Various leaks, especially some reliable leaks from a couple of years ago, suggested that this was going to be a focus point for Destiny 3. But the Lighthouse on Twitter did share that if you look back at one of the vidocs for Shadowkeep, on the board with Mark Noseworthy right here, you see various different locations listed, so EDZ, Mercury, Io, and Planet X. Planet X actually is Nessus, well that's Bungie's kind of development or code name for Nessus. And JP Deathblade pointed out that you even see files in the game, which are called Planet X, that refer to Nessus stuff. But also in this list of active locations, they still have a listing for Europa, but also for Hive Ship, which previously has referred to the Dreadnought in D1. And of course, even while we've got locations listed from back in D1, it's an interesting one, because every other location named there is an actual working, developed location in one form or another, be it live in the game, be it a location from the previous game. And so it does raise the question, have Bungie been actively working on Europa in terms of building it out in the game? And could a return of Dreadnought, as well as the introduction of Europa, still be on the cards for Destiny 2? I'd say based on a few different things, it totally seems possible, but we are going to have to wait and see. Nonetheless, the good thing about the September expansion, hopefully, is that it's going to be pretty substantial, but at least compared to typical seasonal content, yeah, those September drops, be them huge or big, I guess, more like Shadowkeep was big and Taken King was huge, right? They are at least the better Destiny experiences that we get in terms of content drops, so we do have that to look forward to in a few months, hopefully. Give us your thoughts about that, but of course we are going to get some pretty cool stuff when we finally get into that last step of the Felwinter's Light Quest this week. And Damon shared some pretty cool backstory, including that when we go down into the Old Moon Bunker, the secret room that we see actually holds the casing of what is an old safety AI developed by Clovis Bray. And we learned that Clovis Bray took this AI and turned it into an interplanetary defense system that actually had sentience of its own. But this was before Rasputin himself existed, so it was essentially a test version of Rasputin. And it goes on to say that Rasputin kept that secret moon on the bunker kind of like a museum or a scrapbook of his past, as a way to remember his roots and how it was developed. So that's pretty cool, a really sort of organic story right there. And it shows an interesting side of Rasputin as well, kind of collecting old hardware and memorabilia associated with what would eventually become Rasputin. Kind of a trippy idea, but I thought it was really exciting and so I wanted to touch on that. And once again, I'll keep you posted when this quest is finally going to be able to be finished. Finally though, this week Bungie launched hotfix 2.8.1.2, and that's the one that didn't fix the light quest, but it did have a few other fixes. So the Worm God Caress is now fixed, as well as the issue with the Winter's Guile. But they fixed the problem where players could earn a Sentinel Super within 10 seconds using Grasp of the Warmind. But also, players can no longer melee attack while holding onto the Grasp of the Warmind carry object. And then separately for clans and progression, they fixed the problem where the additional clan bounty unlocked from reaching clan rank 6 was not being made available from Hawthorne, and a problem where it was possible for the small fireteam XP boost from the Season Pass to apply the wrong XP boost. So some minor-ish fixes right there, but once again, the one we're more excited for is the one that finally gets us access to Felwinter's Lie. As we finish out the video though, it has been just over 3 years since Destiny 2 was actually announced, but also, I believe it was yesterday, but it marks the 5th birthday of House of Wolves. So a little bit of nostalgia right there. I remember that being a really fun time in Destiny 1, man. Of course, everything was very new still, really. And so even when the expansions weren't absolutely huge, because it was stuff we'd never really experienced before, it was pretty fun. Also crazy to think that Trials launched with House of Wolves, and then we get Trials back in a season that shares that anniversary, right? And it's really crazy to think we've had nearly 6 years of Destiny, man. As always, I really appreciate you guys tuning in and showing so much support here on the channel, and I hope you have enjoyed the video today. So if you have, a rating down below is super appreciated, and as always, give us your thoughts on anything that we've spoken about in the comment section. Otherwise though, feel free to get subscribed so I can keep you up to date with the world of Destiny 2, all of the news, guides, and that good stuff right here on the channel. You can also check out my merch store where we have the new 500k shirt, but we also have the awesome day shirts stocked in. And if you guys like the look of any of that stuff, then obviously picking something up really supports me on the channel, and I do appreciate that. But more than anything guys, I appreciate you tuning in. And whatever you get up to, I sincerely hope that you have an awesome day.